If you've got shoulder pain in the bench and you want to fix it without resting, watch this video. I had shoulder pain bench pressing for over 6 years. I saw 4 physios, but no matter what I did, I could not get rid of the pain. Then one day, I realized a massive thing had been missing from all of the rehab that I'd done. And when I finally worked on that thing, my pain went away within just a couple of weeks. And the other day, I hit 125 kilo PR on my bench press, all thanks to this one thing. But before we jump into what I did, there's an important thing that you have to do before you do it. And that is, you have to find the trigger for your pain and you have to stop doing it. None of the other things in this video will work if you don't do that. Now, what am I talking about when I say the trigger? The trigger for your pain will either be the weight you're using, the number of sets of reps, the speed of the movement, or a certain part of your range of motion. So you need to try out different weights, different reps and sets and speeds and ranges of motions to find out which one is the key trigger for you. And once you do that, you need to reduce the trigger down. So let's say the trigger is your weight. What you need to do is use less weight. Or if it was going over 10 reps, that's when your pain comes on. You need to stick to less reps. Because if you keep pissing off the bench every time you do it, then you're going to be banging your head against the wall, wondering why it's not getting better, even if you do the thing that solved my problem. So once you've got rid of your trigger, you need to do your baseline testing. You need to test your range of motion, your muscle endurance, and your strength around the shoulder. And most rehab fails because these things aren't tested properly. If you don't find out what the individual weaknesses that you have, then you can't actually write a program to address it. And when I went to see other physios, they just eyeballed my range of motion. And for my strength, they just got me to push against their hand. But none of those were accurate measurements. So we need to get super specific with the measurements that we take and get actual numbers and data to back it up and compare it to other people's results to see if you actually have a weakness in that thing. And then when we compare it to other people's, we can see where you should be and where you're currently at. And then we can write you a rehab program to actually work on the individual weaknesses that you have. So I spent years working on my range of motion, but when I tested it properly, I realized I had more range of motion on my left side, my painful side, than I did on the other. And that meant that all the years that I'd spent stretching was just a waste of time because I had more range of motion. But when I tested my strength, I had 40% more strength on the side that was painful than the one that wasn't. And I'd never worked on that at all. And because I'd never worked on that, the pain kept coming back whenever I lifted heavy. Imagine trying to squat with 40% more strength on one leg than the other. You're going to keep overloading that side because it's just not going to be able to handle as much force as the other side. So when you actually know what your specific weaknesses are, you can actually address them. And instead of getting a sheet of exercise of 10 different exercises to do 5 times every day, like when your physio's using the shotgun approach, just literally throwing everything at it and seeing what sticks, you can work on the 1 or 2 exercises that are actually going to work on your individual problem and actually move the needle so that you don't get shoulder pain in the bench press anymore. And I literally never had anyone do this in my rehab. And as soon as I spent a couple of weeks getting stronger, the pain went away for good. Now I can bench, I can overhead press, I can push press, I can jerk, all without any pain. And shortly after I solved it, I hit a 25 kilo bench press for a single, which was a massive PB for me. And that's 45 kilos more than what I was lifting when I originally hurt my shoulder when I was bench pressing. So if you want to get rid of your shoulder pain in the next 90 days and safely hit PRs in your bench press without pissing it off or flaring up your pain or having to rest, then click the link in the description to get a free training on my unique method that I've used with 90 lifters to help them get pain-free.